Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend. So last week's 5Q tape breakdown was 1-minute snippet. At the end of the meeting, is the advisor focusing on the right thing? So if you do a meeting correctly all the way through, but then you muff it at the end, it can possibly unwind everything you've done. So this is worthwhile watching to make sure that you're getting what you need at the end. This kind of relates to what we talked about last week when we went through the comparison, from the client's point of view, the comparison of investments and talking about 10-year. Less than half of fund managers have any experience of financial crisis. So according to a recent survey of fund managers in New York, Paris, and London, it appears that less than half of fund managers have been through even one market crash. Note that the last one was less than 10 years ago. Using the definition of a transition from bull to a bear market, or a decline of at least 20% in the stock market, the majority of people that have managed money professionally have never experienced a real downturn. So guys, why is this important to us? Why is this important to us as advisors and to our clients? Experience matters, I'd agree with that, yeah. But why does experience matter? Why is the fact that they don't have experience, why does that affect us or our clients? So how much of our money do we want in FIAs? 50%. Why? At least 50%. Not 30 to 50. Guys, do we want 30 to 50% of our clients' money's in FIAs? What do we want? 50 plus. Yeah, 50 plus. Why? If we went with 30 to 50, that means 70% of our money would probably be managed by what? A manager with less experience that they need to handle a major downturn. So, and the other thing is, if what have I told everybody about 30 to 50? So if somebody wants less than 50% of their money in an FIA, you need to do what? You need to send me the tape. Why? Because, Jeff, in 20 years, using our scripts, have we ever had somebody want less than 50% of the money in guaranteed?
No.
60,000 tapes, not one?
Not one.
So if you're getting less than 50% in the FIA, usually our problem is not that they want more than 50%, it's that they want all of it in. All of it in. All of it in. And we have a script to deal with that. Yep. So this is important for us because, guys, that means that the vast majority of managers out there haven't seen a correction. And when they say that, is an algorithm going to help them with a correction? Is some sort of investment mentality or technique going to help them with a correction? No. Because what have we thought about corrections? Do corrections ever happen the same way? All the big corrections, have there ever even been close to an identical correction? Or do they always come out of the blue? Is the reason always different? Yeah, it's always different. So we never know what's going to happen. So guys, if you've got your clients in more than 50% in the market, you are cray-cray. You are cray-cray. One of the things, I did mention this earlier, but I talking to a lot of advisors, they have not gone to look at it yet. So I'm just going to show you. It's a 3-minute walkthrough of the office when I made $1 million. And you're going to see when I made $1 million, I was in insurance row. So I had a P&C guy to the left of me and a P&C guy to the right of me. And we were upstairs in kind of a crappy building where an orthodontist was downstairs. I mean, it was a 1970s building. It was clean. It was professional looking, but it was a 1970s building. So we didn't have marble floors. It wasn't super fancy. You're going to see here. But I want you to walk through exactly how I had the office set up, okay? So here we go. If I can get it right, we'll go ahead and make it big. I introduce you to a few people and also show you exactly how I do set up the office. You're going to see it's nothing grandiose here, but if you take a look around here on the walls is where I told you you need to have, you can see picture frames with our clients, and what we did for this is we had a picnic in the summer, and we had all our clients, so they're all happy in a nice setting, and we have another one here. So what are the picture frames for? What are we doing with those picture frames, all the happy clients? That's right, Nick, testimonials. Those are testimonials. Can an RIA put pictures of their clients on the wall like that? Yes. And would you say these pictures are better or worse than an actual written testimonial? Yeah, better. So any RIA that's not doing this, again, is cray-cray. They're missing a huge opportunity. So do you see any other art on my walls? I have diplomas, but do I have any other art on my walls besides pictures of happy clients? We have another one over here. So this is what people, when they come in, this is what they're looking at. Behind, I have articles where I've been quoted, and they've been all nicely framed, as you can see here, in Your Money and the local newspaper. So a picture with Barbara Bush that I had taken with me back a few years ago. So just a few basic things, but the most important thing is, of course, the pictures of the clients. You can see I don't have any fancy furniture, but it's all armed, and we got it from Pier 1 Furniture with arms on it. Again, so you see nothing's really as fancy here whatsoever. And a lot of you wonder what Judy looks like, so this is Judy. Judy. So what did I say there? What's more important, to have my diplomas and memberships on the wall, or those pictures of happy clients? Pictures of happy clients, right. You can wave to the camera. And also, what about my furniture? Pretty fancy, right? So does this office look fancy at all? So does having a fancy office have anything to do with you making a ton of money? Zippo. I mean, it's clean, but it's certainly way less fancy than guys who are making a quarter or a tenth of what I was making. And then Missy's not here right now, but this is, you can see the layout of the offices here. We have one out. Missy has an office. We have a working station for Levon, who works with us. Gene's over here. Gene can wave to the camera. He sets up all your books and your training materials, so that's where Gene fits in. And then if you come on in here into my office, you can see right here, this is where Judy sets up my number 1s, my number 2s, and number 3s files. You can see it's just an upright folder, and that's how we keep track. If you're wondering how we keep track of the folder, you see it's all done with folders. I ran 30 appointments a week. They were all done color-coded in those folders right outside the office. So when I grabbed a folder, I knew exactly what I was doing. And if you want to know more about that, that's also on the website on how to set up an office. Back of that. And then if you come into the office, I finally got a desk. 2 weeks ago, I finally got a desk, because what I did have was a dining room table with a piece of glass on it, and Judy finally bought me one when I wasn't looking. So, but you can see back here, here's what I talk about. Look at all the diplomas on the wall. These are all things. So guys, there's services that will turn your Series 65 into a beautiful diploma, your Series 7 into a beautiful diploma, your insurance license into a beautiful certificate. So I had all these certificates, but the reason I had all these certificates and they were behind me is, guess how often I told people about my certifications? Did I ever tell people about my certifications and coming out of my mouth at the workshop? No. Did I ever do it in the office? No. So the workshop, I had these things flipping through, pictures of these things flipping through prior to the workshop in the revolving order, along with pictures of my family and funny quotes and things like that. And when I'm at the office, they're looking at them. That alleviates me ever having to say how great I am. And if you think, go to a doctor's office, you go to an attorney's office, what do they have on their walls? I mean, does the doctor ever say, yes, I graduated from Harvard and blah, blah, blah? No, but you know what? They're right there on the wall. So that's how you do it. Things that you need to get framed. And what I have over here, of course, is all of the books that I've read. And actually, that's only half of them, because we have them there, and then I have another bookcase over to your left right here. And so when I tell people that I'm up on things, I'm really up on. Should any of those books be marketing books? Advertising books? No, they should all be what? All investment books, financial planning books. Things, because I read, and you need to have those ready to go. Now, behind where the clients sit, you'll see over here, I have some decorations disguising the most important part of this back wall. And that is a clock. Because I never look at my watch when I'm with a client. As you know, my first meeting is only an hour. Everything's pretty well timed. I can glance up at that clock without them knowing that I'm even aware of that time. So that's how I keep on track. So guys, do I ever want to look at my watch when I'm with a client? No. So that's why I had that clock there. And I knew where I was supposed to be at the first meeting. I knew where I was supposed to be at 40 minutes into the second meeting. I knew where I was supposed to be at a half an hour into the third meeting. That was how I knew I was keeping on track or not on track. Does that make sense? You're wondering how to keep on track without looking at your watch. That's exactly how you do it. So you need to have diplomas over here behind yourself, and you need to have a clock on the other wall. And that's the most important parts of so you can find, if you're looking, want to come back and refer to this, you can find that again under Office Flow. And then you can see there's the office tour right there. And how to set up your office, Coach Call, that's going to be how we set up the folders and everything like that. So hopefully you can start to utilize some of those ideas. Okay, today we're going to actually do a tape review on beneficiaries. So we want to see how closely this advisor will go through all of the things that they're supposed to do. So we'll get it set up here. Here we go. So he's going to go right into the beneficiaries. I'm going to play it all the way through first, then we're going to go back and see. So as we're playing it all the way through first, look to see is he following all these steps one by one. And if he doesn't follow these things step by one to one, does it bite him in the behind for not following them? So here we go.
Okay. So now let's talk about your beneficiaries on the other accounts, which, you know, in your case, Rosalie is your beneficiary, vice versa. Right. And then you got your kids listed, all right? Now, you have 2 children, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to go with Steve, and if Steve passed away with your IRA, it's going to go to Rosalie.
Yeah.
And what's your first son?
Ryan.
R-Y-A-N?
Yeah.
As we're going through this, I'm going to play it all the way through. And again, I interrupted. I said I was going to do that first. But just for fun, as you see or hear things that could have been done better, type them into the question box, would you? I want to see how astute you guys are getting at tape reviews and doing your own 15-minute drills and things like that. So if you hear things that going wrong, not scripting-wise, but communication-wise, type them in if you would. If you feel like, you don't have to, but if you feel like it, type it in there. It'd be a great interaction with this.
And you have a daughter too, correct?
Dan.
D-A-N-A.
D-A-N-A. Okay, and how many grandkids do you have?
3.
3. And how many does Ryan have?
2.
And how many Dana has? Then has 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So something, you got a substantial IRA, Steve. So if something were to happen to you, you'd want the money to go to Rosalie, right?
Yep.
And if something would happen to Rosalie, it would go to Ryan and Dana, right?
50-50, yeah.
Let me tell you a story about beneficiary deeds and why they are so important. This happened to me a while ago. One of my friends who's also an advisor called me. He had a couple of his clients that were in his office, and they were there to talk about their daughter's account. And the way he relayed the story to me, his daughter graduated, did very well, went for work for a local firm, all right, and married a gentleman who was older than she was, all right. Apparently it was relatively quick dating process because from what he told me, she discovered relatively quickly that the guy had a drinking problem. And that, I guess, when he drank, he became very abusive. Right? So she did whatever she could to try to sustain the marriage, you know, but at some point she just couldn't deal with it anymore. So what did she do, Rosalie?
Divorced.
She divorced him, right? Okay. But life continues on, regardless of the curves the good Lord throws us. Life continues on. She did very well. She continued working for the same firm. A few years later, she met a guy. They dated more extensively this time. They got married. They had 3 kids, all right? Mm-hmm. After the 3rd child, and she was the primary income earner for the family, she decided it was kind of time to get her affairs in order, all right? So they went out and they had new wills written up, okay? They did their power of attorney, they did their medical power of attorney, they established a trust, they did all the things that she felt were appropriate, you know, to make sure things were taken care of for the family. And she died, I guess, about 3 months after he finished all that. She got a very aggressive form of cancer and passed away. It was obviously a huge, burden to the family. She with 3 kids and a husband and to mom and dad. And after they finished the funeral and the mass, he went to her employer, to go over the employee benefits to make sure everything was taken care of. And he was really concerned about her 401k. Because she'd been the primary income earner, and without that income, now he was depending upon that to provide for, college and that kind of stuff, maybe a down payment for a home for the kids. What he discoveed, though, despite all the work they had done, getting a new will and a new power of attorney, is what do you think she had forgotten to change?
That her first husband was still there.
Her first husband was still the beneficiary in her 401k. So who do you think was going to get the money from the 401k? The jerk, right? Okay. And that's why my friend called me, because he wanted to know if I knew any outlet or escape clause or any way that, the new power of attorney and the new will, the trust, would supersede the old beneficiary designation. And unfortunately, what did I have to tell him, Steve?
Probably not. Yeah.
Probably not. You're exactly right. Okay, because 401ks, IRAs, SEP accounts, managed money, none of that stuff goes through wills or trusts. It's all governed by what, Rosalie? The beneficiary team, right? Okay. And that's how important that beneficiary designation is, because it controls the distribution of your assets, whether or not you did it the way you wanted to do or with help. So in your case, you've got a substantial IRA, Steve. And if something were to happen to you, you'd want it to go to Rosalie, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And if something were to happen to Rosalie, you'd want it to go to Ryan and Dana. And would you want it to go because Ryan's a boy, 60, he's 60-40, or you do it 50-50. They all get the same way. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
50-50.
And that's the way I do it. That's the way most of my clients do it. They want your kids to to be treated equally. Okay. All right. Now, what if one of your kids passed away, before you did? Auto accident, whatever. What if either Ryan or Dana passed away before you did? Where would you want their portion of your IRA to go?
I don't know. I didn't think about that.
Okay, all right. And a lot of people don't think about that. Okay, and that's why I asked the question. All right, because you guys have 3 grandchildren. How do you feel about your grandchildren?
Oh, we like them.
You like them?
They're good.
Right. They're good. Their grandchildren are great. And don't most grandparents feel the same way about their grandchildren? Okay. Yeah. I mean, if I lined up 100 grandparents, all right, and asked each one of them, "Do you love your grandchildren?" What would they say?
Most of them would say yes.
Most would say yes, okay? And if even one didn't, what was the other 99 thinking about the Yahoo that said, "No, I can't stand my grandchildren"? They probably think you had a problem, right? Right? Because grandkids are special because you go visit them and then you come home and you leave them there, all right? Okay? So in this situation, obviously, Steve, if something happens to you, you want Rosalie to get the money. If something happens to Rosalie, you want it to go equally to Ryan and Dana, correct? On a 50-50 basis, all right? Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. What happens, let's say that Ryan passes away, okay, and you've got your IRA so that each of your children are treated equally. So if something happens to Ryan, you have one beneficiary left, right? And who gets the inheritance? If you have only one beneficiary, how much of your estate do they get?
Well, I'd have to think about it. I'd have to sit down and talk about it with them.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about making changes. I'm saying the way it is now, if something were to happen, she would
get 100%.
She'd get 100%, correct. Okay?
Yeah, well, that would be okay. It would be the number one thing we want to have, but that would be okay.
Right. So what you're saying is make a provision that if one of the parents.
So I told Josie to play all the way through, about halfway through. But what is the gentleman doing at this point? What is the client doing at this point? The man, the husband. That's right, David. See if anybody else gets it. What's the husband doing at this point? David's got it, but he's the only one that's got it. Yes, now I was getting it. Resisting and pushing back. Why? Why is he resisting and pushing back? Because the advisor did things out of order. So now the guy realizes, oh, you're going to try to tell me that I did things wrong and it's stupid. I'm going to push back and say, no, it's not stupid because maybe it's the way I wanted it to be done. And that's the importance of doing things right, because you want, or in the right order. Because if we done it in the right order, he would have looked silly if he did this at this point. But because we did things out of order, he can fight back or argue or resist. Because do most people like to find out that they did things wrong? No. So that's why we have these scripts the way we set them up, so that the person tells us over and over in their own voice that they have something set up a certain way. So when they finally figure out it's wrong, they can't defend it. They can't say, "Oh, I meant to do that." And it's not just with beneficiaries. That's how all the scripts are set up. I know that people that people will fight at this point. I know people will want to say, "No, that's the way I want it. I meant to disinherit my grandchildren." They did all sorts of silly things and say all sorts of silly things. That's why the script is so long, is to prevent them from saying that. Because once he says it out loud, now I have to tell him he's what? Now that he said it out loud, I have to prove out loud that he's what? He has to say out loud, "I was wrong." I don't want them to do that. So the script is set up the way it is, in the order it is, to prevent them from ever saying, "Oh, that's what the way I meant it. I wanted to disinherit my grandchildren." So that's why he's running into this problem. But we're going to finish it off here and then circle back.
Passes away, Ryan or Dana, the children get their
Well, what I'm saying is
25%.
If most people, that's how they would like to have it done. But here's the situation that I see.
I don't think I would.
You don't? Okay. All right.
I don't want, my thinking is that these people are too young to handle that kind of money. They don't, I'm not going to give them, $500,000 when they're 20 years old or something like that. I wouldn't do it that way.
Okay. And
I'd just assume Dana get it all, and then do it the other way.
Let me ask you.
But I have to think about that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to, create a risk.
Yeah, I think that could.
Yeah. But I also want to be, smart about it, is that, young people, grandkids like that, they don't need that kind of money. And I'm not going to give it to an in-law, so.
And that's very wise. And this comes back to, well, let me ask you a question. This comes back, remember we talked about a will or a trust?
Mm-hmm.
All right? And one of the benefits of a trust is that it allows you to defer distribution of assets to heirs until they reach adulthood or the age of maturity or whatever you choose to do, okay? But the reason I ask this question is most people, when they fill out the beneficiary form, the advisor is there to help them fill out the beneficiary form, right? Okay, you know that. And let me ask you a question. Your advisor, you think that let's say you have $10,000 in your account. Does he get paid more on a $10,000 account or $100,000 account?
Percentage.
Yeah, so you made more than $100,000 account. Okay. Yeah. So when you the two statements that you sent me, the variable annuity and your Boeing account. Now I know that up until recently you were managing your Boeing account yourself.
Yeah.
And you recently released that over there. Okay, but the couple things I noticed, is that the amount was very accurate down to the penny. Okay. And why is it important for your account value to be accurate to the penny, Rosalie?
So that, somebody's not taking something out of it.
Right, because it's your money, right? Someone's not taking something out of it. And why do you think, and that makes sense why it'd be important to you, okay, because it's your money, you invested the money. Why do you think it'd be important to your advisor for that amount of money to be accurate on your variable account?
I don't know.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. What if someone else's name was on the account, someone else's contact information, someone else's phone number and address? How would that affect your current advisor?
Someone else's name was on our account?
Yeah, as the agent. Now, not as the owner, but as the financial advisor. How would that affect your current financial advisor if another advisor's name was on the account?
Well, they would have to work with that person to get something done.
Right. So then that other person would get paid whatever commission or fees are due, right? Okay.
So guys, just another interruption. We got 2 minutes left here before we're done. But is he following his script pretty darn well now? So he missed the script on the first half, but in the second half, if he's doing the scripts correctly on the second half. Yeah, he is. But then who's doing most of the script? Because is the script designed for him to do it or for who to do it? Yeah, for them to do it. So, I mean, he's doing the script, but he's asking the questions and he's answering way too many of them. But the second half, He's doing it fine. The problem is, even though he's doing the second half fine, did they ever think that they were doing anything wrong in the front half? No. So I'm saying, look at your guy. He's a horrible person for, wait a minute, what did he do? I guess he didn't do anything wrong. Why am I saying he's a horrible person? So do you see how the scripts are built? You can't do part of the script right. You got to do them right from the beginning, because if you can't blame something on the advisor that when they didn't think he did anything wrong. I think she did, but did she want to fight with her husband on that? No. So, but I sensed that it wouldn't have been hard to get her on my side on that whole thing, which is the way the beneficiaries work. But because we didn't get the guy up front now, but I just wanted to make sure he's doing the script right, but he's doing most of the telling, selling, preaching, teaching here, and he's saying the advisor did something wrong when there's been no agreement, or that the advisor is getting paid to do something wrong when there's been no agreement he's done anything wrong yet. That's so. We're kind of in quicksand right now.
So when I looked at your account, same thing with your borrowing account, the amount was very accurate down to the penny, okay, which is important to you, all right? And the advisor's information was their name, address, phone number, okay, how to get in contact with them. And why is it important for that information to be accurate for you, to get a hold of someone, your advisor?
So you can reach them.
Right. Seems like a dumb question, right? So you can reach them, okay? All right? And that's why I asked the question, because if someone else's name was on the account, you'd reach out to them. And then your current advisor wouldn't get what?
Their percent?
Their percentage, right? They wouldn't get that percentage, right? So the amount of your account is accurate, and that's important to you, okay? And it's important to them because that's how they get paid, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Their contact information is accurate, all right? Because that's important to you, and that's also how what?
How you talk to them.
How you talk to them, all right? Now, but what it could be very important in your case, and you pointed out, because it could be a source of grief, because they probably helped you fill out the beneficiary form, most agents do, all right? But do you think they get paid for asking detailed questions and filling out beneficiary trails accurately? Probably not. You're exactly right. Probably not. So when you look at an account, typically, in your case, what did your representative get right? They got their name right? It's on your account because they see it. They got the amount right. Okay? Correct? Mm-hmm. And you get it every quarter. Now, based upon our conversation here, because it sounds like you didn't think this far forward, okay, what did they miss or get incorrect?
What did he just do there? Because it sounds like you didn't think that far forward. What did he do just there? Yeah, David said dummy. Yeah, that's what he's doing. Is that going to make the guy's already been resisting. Is that going to make the guy's resistance go up or down to call him a dummy? Sounds like he didn't look that far forward. It's going to cause him to get even more resistant.
Well, I don't think I did incorrect, but they don't have anything beyond Ryan and Dana.
Correct.
They don't have anything. There's no designated trail beyond those two.
Okay. All right. And why do you think? Because remember, that's why I asked the question. Do you think they get paid for getting beneficiary designations correct? No, they don't. How do they get paid based upon the amount of the account.
Mm-hmm.
So the distribution of those assets beyond a typical, spouse, kids, they tend to ignore, which could cause real trouble, real dissension, because, if you're not there and Dana is, and these two grandchildren are completely cut out of the will, and we assume that Dana would do the right thing and maybe give the money, but maybe not, all right? And that's an easy problem to fix, you take all of 3 minutes, to get that taken care of, but most representatives don't get paid for that, so do they bother with it?
Okay.
All right?
Okay. And that's something we have to talk about.
Right. Well, yeah, and there's ways of doing it, but that's something when I noticed it. Okay, so that's your beneficiary information.
Did he get anything from this 12 minutes of script? Everybody answer that. Is it with the Y's or N's? Everybody, come on. Y's or N's? Yeah, you got nothing from it. Nothing. So nothing was accomplished here, except that the guy's going to be easier or harder on the next script, do you think? Because once they start resisting once, guess what? Doesn't get it. Yeah. And so here's a trick question. Here's a bonus question. When somebody's getting resistance, what tool do we have? What's the most powerful tool we have when somebody's showing resistance to get them back enamored with us? I'm sorry is a good tool, but it's not the most powerful tool. I'm sorry is a good tool, but it's not the most powerful. It's a necessary tool, but it's not the most important. So we're getting a lot of sorries and falling on the swords. That's not the most important tool to get them back on track. Gots, what kind of gots? Oh, Mike's got it. Good job, Mike. Empower. Empower them. Tell them they're above average. Tell them that, find something to tell them that they're above average, that they figured something out that nobody else or very few people have figured out in the last 10 people that you've talked to. Or tell them they're above average, because when you tell them they're above average and that they're smart, it gets them back on your side. They start to like you a lot more. Empower, empower, empower. And did we hear any empowering here, or did we hear more correction throughout this 12 minutes? Lots of correction, no empowering. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning, but let's look at the script first. What's the importance of where is most of the money? And Jeff, you can get on too. I'd like to go back and forth with you too as we talk about this. So what is the importance of where is the most of the money? Why are we asking that?
Well, so
because
that
we're saying this is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
In their IRA, it's in their retirement account and is subject to beneficiaries, not titling.
Right, and we're saying it's a small problem, or it affects the most of their money.
Oh, it's a big problem. It affects most of their money.
Yeah, and then we start out with who inherits. We just do the husband and wife, husband and wife, husband and wife. Now, guys, the reason we start with husband and wife, and then we go do the story. Well, we'll get to the story in a second, but I'm going to skip the story for a second. The reason we start with the husband and wife, then we go with the husband and wife and the children, then we go to husband and the wife and the children and the grandchildren. Why are we doing that? Why are we going step by step by step? It's all of those things are excuses to get them to say, you're locking the answers, right, David? We're getting them to lock in the answers. And what answer do we want them to lock in? Do we look at their beneficiary forms, guys? No, because most people don't even know where their beneficiary forms are. And if we force them to find their beneficiary forms, they're probably going to have to call their advisor, and then the advisor is going to be messing with this. So, but we do know that 99% of people, how do they have it set up? 99% of people that have children, how do they have it set up? With children equally. Is anybody going to disagree with that? Okay. So we know that's the case, but the reason we have it, who's going to get it? How do they know who to give it to if you die? We're going to give it to my spouse, blah, blah, blah. Then we go to the kids. Then we go to the spouse, kids, and grandkids. The reason we do that is it gives us an excuse to have them say in their own words, kids equally, kids equally, kids equally, kids equally. How many times do I want them to say kids equally? A gazillion. Because if they say kids equally, what can they not say at the end? Oh, I didn't want it to be kids equally. Does that make sense? Okay. The brother story. He used. This is an older tape, so he was still using the in-laws. The reason we changed the bad husband story is because now a lot of states are saying that even if you have the wrong spouse, they'll give it to the new spouse. So we had to change it to the brother story. That's why he was using the wrong story. But why do we use the story then? Why do we use the story? So at the end, they won't say what? Oh, yeah, but it's in my will. But it's in my trust. So the whole purpose of the story is them to say, whatever is in your beneficiary form, that's going to trump both the will and the trust. So you get to go to the best attorney in town, get the best trust in town, but guess what? Will that help you? No. So that's why we have that, and we want that up front. We don't want to be fighting that at the end. Does that make sense? Okay. Then we say number of children, and when we do number of children, he said 60% to one and 40% to the other. What do I use? What do I recommend you use? 60%? 90. Why do I do 10-90? Which one sounds more ridiculous, 60-40 or 10-90? Extreme. I want an extreme. I don't want it even close to being. It's an exaggeration. When I want them to give me a solid answer, do I make it pretty gray or do I make it black and white? You make it black and white, okay? That's why I use 90. Because 60-40 could be, yeah, I guess that'd be reasonable because, you know what, my daughter does a lot more. I don't want them to do that, but would anybody say 90-10? I've never in 60,000 tapes heard anybody say 90-10 is a good thing. Make sense? So that's what we did. Also, now here's where a big problem came up. Here's where a big problem came up. Because he said, what about the grandkids? It's okay that the grandkids are getting disinherited. Why did that happen? He saw no reason for the kids to get the money. Why did that happen? He skipped. He skipped. He didn't lock it in before. That's right, David. So if we go, I'm going to try to find it here.
Okay, so now let's talk about your beneficiaries on the other accounts, which, you know, in your case, Rosalie is your beneficiary.
This is the beginning, but watch what happens.
Vice versa, right? And then you got your kids listed, all right? Now, you have two.
Okay, so who told them how it was set up? We started out right at the beginning. Who's telling them how their beneficiaries are set up? Yeah, he's telling them. Dudes, they have to tell you, because when they say it, they can't change their mind.
Children, right? Yes. Okay. So we're going to go with Steve, and if Steve passed away with your IRA, it's going to go to Rosalie. Yeah.
So is he skipping steps here? Is he supposed to be talking about the kids yet? When's he supposed to talk about the kids? After he's done him and his wife. See, I know. It seems like we repeat ourselves. But there's a purpose to repeating ourselves. It's because when they repeat, they lock that in.
And older, what's your first son? Ryan. R-Y-A-N? Yeah. And you have a daughter too, correct?
Dan. D-A-N-A.
D-A-N-A. Okay, and how many grandkids do you have? Three. And how many does Ryan?
So he did 3 or 4, so actually he did 4 steps, and he consolidated them into what? 4 steps consolidated into 1 step. And what happens when you consolidate those into one is, guess what? He's telegraphing where he's going. And he's laid no groundwork, which is giving the husband when the husband finds out he did something wrong, the ability to protect himself, to argue.
We have 2. And how many Dana has? Then has 1, right? Okay, all right. So something, now you got a substantial IRA, Steve. So if something were to happen to you, you'd want the money to go to Rosalie, right? Yep. And if something would happen.
Yeah, the main thing's going on here is what? Is he using motivational interviewing or telling? He knows the script out of order, skipping steps, consolidating, but, you know, he knows the script, doesn't he? But he's telling, selling, preaching, and teaching. That's right. That's exactly right.
Under Rosalie, it would go to Ryan and Dana, right? 50-50, yeah. Let me tell you.
See, he's telling them all these things. You can't tell them. They have to tell you.
A story about beneficiary needs and why they are so important. She did very well. She continued to care for the family. It was obviously a huge, burden to the kids. What he discovered, though, despite all the work they had done, outlet or escape clause or any way that, the new power of attorney and the new will to trust would supersede the old beneficiary designation. And unfortunately, what did I have to tell him, Steve? Probably not. Yeah. Probably not. You're exactly right. Okay, because
what was a word in there that I cannot live with? Very good, David. Anybody else get it? Nick's got it. Said probably not. Would the will or trust probably not work? No, it would. Will the will and trust work when it comes to a beneficiary? It will not. So if they say probably, what do I have to do? Yeah, it probably won't. And why won't it? So I'm going to agree with him. Yeah, it probably won't. And why won't it? And then when he tells me why it won't, I say, so will a will or trust ever work? I'm going to walk him back and get him to get rid of that probably, not by attacking him, but by walking him back, asking 3 or 4 questions so he'll say, no, it'll never work. I don't want to embarrass him and tell him he did it wrong, so or that probably is not the right answer. I'm going to agree with the probably. Yeah, probably not. And why wouldn't it work? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so you can do the best attorney, best in town, get the best get the best estate planning done, best will, best trust. And will that ever help you with the beneficiary, or what the beneficiary goes? Which one? Oh, the beneficiary goes. See, then I got him to say, yeah, there's no. Why do I hate probablys? Why do I hate qualifying language? Probably, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it gives them wiggle room. It gives them ability. It doesn't mean anything, right? So it allows them to squeeze out if they want to down the road. So this guy already sees what's happening and what's he doing. Who's controlling this meeting right now? Who knows? The advisor knows exactly where he's going, but the guy's already laying the groundwork to get out of being backed into a corner. You see that? So here we go.
IRAs, SEP accounts, managed money, none of that stuff goes through wills or trust. It's all governed.
Who's telling him that? The advisor's telling him. If the advisor tells him, can the guy fight back? Who's the only person the guy cannot argue with? Who is the only, without being crazy, who's the only person he can't argue with? Himself, exactly. So he has to say it.
By what? Rosalie, the beneficiary team, right? Okay. And that's how important that beneficiary designation is, because it controls the distribution of your assets, whether or not you do it the way you want it to do or with help. So in your case, you've got a substantial IRA, Steve, and if something were to happen to you, you'd want it to go to Rosalie, right? Yeah. Okay. And if something were to happen to Rosalie, you'd want it to go to Ryan and Dana, and would you want it to go because Ryan's a boy, 60, he's 60-40, or you do it 50-50. They all get you the same way, okay? All right, 50-50. And that's the way I do it. That's the way most of my clients do it. They want your kids to be treated equally, okay? All right. Now, what if one of your kids passed away, before you did? Auto accident, whatever. One of either Ryan or Dana passed away before.
So now he's going right for the what? Is he telegraphing where he's going right now? Yes, he's telegraphing. So the guy's going to defend. What do you have to do before you kill off one of the kids? What do you have to talk about? Yes, discuss the grandkids, Tom. You have to have them say they love the grandkids, and why would the grandkids need it? I mean, how about college and they lost the breadwinner? You have to get them to tell you how great the grandkids are, that you would never want to disinherit the grandchildren, that they, because if when you die, and if the kids grandkids get disinherited, what might they think about you? Can you fix it when you're in heaven? Why would grandkids need it? Why would the grandkids need it? What are some reasons, guys? I gave you 2 or 3 right there. What are some reasons? They lost a breadwinning parent. College funding. Do they have? If they lost a breadwinning parent, are they going to be able to put a down payment on their first home? Yeah, health, education, support. I agree with that. Yeah, all sorts of things, right? You have to do that before you start killing off the kids, because by not doing that, this guy's going to go ahead and defend them.
Before you did, where would you want their portion of your IRA to go?
I don't know. I didn't think about that.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So now, what is the client telegraphing right now? I know. Hey guys, I make mistakes all the time in scripts. So I've realized right now I made a mistake. So if the client says, "Yeah, I don't know, I have to think about that," what do I have to immediately jump in? Fall on the sword. Fall on the sword. Yeah. First of all, he's telegraphing. He's not playing the game anymore. Exactly right. So I'm going to fall on the sword and say, yeah, I mean, how would we know? How would we know? And when we think about it, then I'm going to go right into back to the script that I missed and say, yeah, we think about it. It's hard to know what to do. And we said we love our grandkids and don't love our grandkids. Oh, we love them. So if they lost a parent, there was a breadwinning parent, how would that affect a child if they lose a breadwinning parent? Okay. How would it affect their possibility of going to college or education? How would it affect their possibility to get a safe car when, instead of a junk car, a safe car, so that they're not killed in an accident down the road? So I'm going to go back and have them tell me what? Those kids need the frickin' what? Money. I need to go back and before I can move on with the script, he needs to tell me, that guy needs to tell me those kids need the money. Also, I'm thinking ahead. Do you really think that this grandfather wants to screw the grandkids? He's protecting himself and saying, well, no, maybe I want, but he does not want to screw his grandkids. So if he doesn't, he's got 2 children. I'm thinking ahead now because I'm already thinking ahead of this guy. If we're playing chess, I got to be 1 move behind or 1 move ahead. I got to be 1 move ahead. So I'm thinking, this guy seems like a reasonable guy, a nice guy. It's not that he doesn't hate his grandkids. He just thinks what's going to happen. What does he think is going to happen? What's he think is going to happen? He doesn't want to screw his grandkids, so what's he think is going to happen? Who's going to inherit all the money? The other what? Guys, you got to think ahead. The other kid. So do we have a script do we have a script for when the other kid inherits? Yes. Where is it? It's the IRS penalty, right? It's the IRS penalty. So I'm going to have to do what with the IRS penalty? Move it what? Leave it where it's at or move it up? I move it up. So he says, I don't know, I'm not sure what I'm doing. Say, yeah, I mean, we don't know what's gonna what to do. I mean, that's looking into the future. There's lots of different moving parts. I totally get it. Well, what are some reasons we'd want to make sure the grandkids were taken care of? Blah 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 blah. Let's say. So, I mean, one of the things we could do is we could just let the other child inherit all of it, right? And hey, you raise good kids, so obviously we know they're going to give one. That one's not going to screw the grandkids. Because you said, do you want them screwed or you don't want them screwed? No, we don't want them screwed. So the other kid's going to make a good. So I see how I'm going to move right up that whole. Do you want your child and the grandchildren to get all of it, or do you want a big chunk to go to Uncle Sam and Uncle Massachusetts? Which one do you want? Do you want them to go to Uncle Sam and Uncle Massachusetts, or do you want to get them all the money? All the money. So see how I'm going to move that up. So do you think he's really saying? The kids are too young. I never want them to get a dime. What's he saying? Now, he hasn't said it yet, but I know that's where he's going. Why do I know that's where he's going? Because anytime somebody fights me, and Jeff, to jump in here, anytime we've heard a grandparent fight, is it because they hate their grandkids, or is it because, I don't want the grandkids to get it when they're young?
No, I don't want my grandkids to get it when they're young.
So if he's fighting back, guess what I'm going to assume? That he wants to screw his grandkids, or he doesn't want them to get it when they're young? Because what would this wife do if he said, I want to screw the grandkids completely? They should never get a dime. What would the wife do? Yeah, she'd smack him. Does that make sense? So here we go.
A lot of people don't think about that, okay? And that's why I asked the question, all right? Because you guys have 3 grandchildren. How do you feel about your grandchildren?
Oh, we like them.
You like them?
They're good.
All right. They're good. Their grandchildren are great, And don't most grandparents feel the same way about their grandchildren? Okay? Yeah. I mean, if I lined up 100 grandparents, all right, and asked each one of them, do you love your grandchildren, what would they say?
Most of them would say yes.
Most would say yes, okay? And if even one didn't, what was the other 99 thinking about the Yahoo that said, no, I can't stand my grandchildren? They probably think you had a problem, right? Right.
So he's realized he made a mistake. He's circling back, getting them to say they like the grandchildren.
His grandkids are special because you go visit them and then you come home and you leave them.
I mean, he's still doing telling, son, preaching, teaching, but he's realized he did things out of order. He's going back to fill in where the mistake was. He could be doing a better job of having them say instead of him, but he at least is circling back. He knows where he made the mistake.
There, all right, okay. So in this situation, obviously, Steve, something happens to you. You want Rosie to get the money.
Okay, but here's the problem. He said he loves the grandkids. What's the point of loving grandkids? Is this guy arguing that he does not love his grandkids? No, he's not arguing that at all. He's not arguing that at all. So what does the advisor have to do when he gets them to say that he loves the grandkids? What's the next step about the grandkids? We just went over it. And he skipped it completely. What's the next step about after they say they love their grandkids? What's the next step then? What do the grandparents have to say? Why they would need the money. If they love the grandkids, why would they need the money? college. They lost a breadwinning parent. To buy a safe car for them when they start to drive. Maybe a mortgage. I mean, if you lose a breadwinning parent, how does that affect you for the rest of your life? Why would the grandkids need that money? See, saying they love them, can you love somebody and not give them money? There's lots of people I love that I wouldn't give money. So the purpose of the love is what? The purpose of the love of the grandchildren is not just to say they love the grandchildren. The purpose of the love of the grandchildren is to get them to say, because they love the grandchildren, they'd want to make sure they were taken care of fiscally. Does that make sense? And did he get them to say that at all? No, he didn't. And that's where he's going to run into problems, because the guy, the grandfather, has not said that he wants to take care of the kids fiscally yet. And also, and we're running out of time here, but also through the rest of the presentation, did the advisor ever then circle back to the fact that, hey, if he gave all of the money to the one kid, it would cause a tax problem. And that means that big chunks of their retirement dollars would go to Uncle Sam and Uncle Massachusetts. Did he ever circle back to that? Nope. So did he ever get what he needed with before he went into he did an okay job on the problem with the advisor, but because he was doing the telling, selling, preaching, and teaching during that portion, and because they never said out loud that it was a problem, at least the grandfather never did, we got nothing from this script. So when you invest 12 minutes of time in a script, you darn well want to what? So we've all had scripts where we screw up like this. What should the main lesson to take here from this is when we go back and listen to a tape, because if I asked this guy, and I did ask this guy, how'd you do on this script? Guess what he told me? Yeah, he thought he did good. He thought he did great. Yeah, I nailed it. When we went back and listened to it, guess what he did? He's like, oh, man. I mean, he's a smart advisor. He's a very smart advisor. He said, shoot, I thought I did well. I completely screwed that up. I didn't even get anything that I wanted. So then what's a professional going to do when they discover that? Yeah, going to correct it how? So you're going to go back and learn the full 21-point checklist again, or just spend a whole week on just that one script? So he knows I may screw up the rest of the 21-point checklist, but you know what I'm never going to screw up again? Beneficiaries. Does that make sense? So once you've learned the 21-point checklist, use your tape reviews to say, boy, that script, I'm about 80% there, but I got to go back and learn that 100. So I'm going to spend the rest of this week locking in that particular script. So this guy knew the script. That's the point here. This guy knew the script. He he tried to combine 3 or 4 steps into one, and he was telling, selling, preaching, teaching. That was the big thing. And he didn't know what he needed to get from the script. What you need to get from the script is the first 2/3 is about them saying, yes, I did not want to disinherit my grandchildren for lots of reasons. And then the last third is to get them to say that their advisor only cares about himself, not about them and their family. So we didn't get either one here, and we needed to get the first 2/3. We need to lock in, I disinherit my grandchildren, that's not what I needed, before we can even get into the why the advisor did it and did not care about them and their family. So going through the motions with the scripts is not what we're after. Here's a trick question. Do I really care what you say? When the scripts are out there, do I really care what you say? It's a trick question. Do I really care what you say or that you're doing the scripts? David's got it. Everybody's saying no. Okay, so you're right. I don't care. David says that. I don't care about what the advisor's saying. I care about what the client's saying. So if the client's saying the things that I want, that means, do I really care what the advisor's saying if the client's saying what I want them to say out loud? No. So when you're practicing these scripts, should you just be practicing what you're supposed to be saying, or do you need to practice what you're saying and what the client's saying? Yeah, both. Both. Makes sense. So did everybody get some ideas on how to get better from today's review? Awesome. Terrific. Well, you guys have a great rest of the weekend. We'll talk to you all next Monday. Or in fact, I will not be on next Monday. Jeff will be doing the call next Monday. So I'll talk to you in a couple weeks. Everybody have a good week.